Imagine waking up and the first thing you taste is rot. Not the faint staleness of sleep, but something deeper. A thick, sour film coating every tooth, pressing against swollen gums, settling into the back of your throat like something alive. You don't reach for a toothbrush. There is no toothbrush. You don't squeeze paste from a tube. Paste doesn't exist. Instead, if you are fortunate, you snap a twig from a hazel tree. You chew one end until the fibers split and soften into a rough, uneven brush. Then you scrub. Back and forth, pressing hard against teeth already cracked, already worn, already losing their war against decay. The taste is bitter. The wood splinters against your gums. Blood mixes with spit. This is dental care in medieval England. For those without even a twig, there is salt. Coarse, unrefined, scraped from a drying pan, or traded at market for a price most peasants can barely afford. You press a damp finger into the crystals and rub them across your teeth. The grinding sensation is immediate. It cleans, but it also strips. Enamel thins. Gums recede. Each scrubbing removes filth and a little bit of the tooth itself. And then there is the other remedy, the one that sounds impossible to modern ears but was practiced with complete sincerity. Urine. Human urine, sometimes your own, sometimes collected, was used as a mouth rinse. The ammonia content was believed to whiten teeth and kill corruption in the mouth. You swirl it, spit, and carry on with your day. This is not ignorance. This is chemistry without the language of chemistry. Ammonia does, in fact, possess cleaning properties. They simply arrived at the answer through a door we would never choose to open. But the mouth is only the beginning. The rest of the body follows the same logic of scarcity and fear. You rise from a straw pallet, stiff, cold, aching. There is no basin of warm water. If water is available at all, it sits in a bucket, drawn the evening before, now carrying a thin skin of dust. You splash your face. You wipe your hands on your tunic. That is the extent of your morning wash. The rest of your body stays untouched. Not because you don't feel the grime, but because you have been told, by physicians, by priests, by the memory of everyone who died in the last plague, that washing the full body is dangerous. Hot water opens the pores. Open pores invite disease. In a world still buried beneath the shadow of the Black Death, dirt is not filth. Dirt is a seal, and you do not break it willingly. For the wealthy, the logic shifts but doesn't improve. A nobleman doesn't wash his body. He changes his linen. The undershirt is pulled away, damp with sweat and oil, and replaced with a fresh one. The fabric, they believe, draws corruption from the skin like a poultice draws infection from a wound. He may change his shirt 3 times in a single day and never once touch water to his chest. He considers himself immaculate. The peasant, owning perhaps one shirt, wears it until it falls apart. The difference between classes is not knowledge, it is access. Both believe the same medicine. Only one can afford the linen. Now imagine sitting down to eat. There is no table setting, no individual plate, no fork. You share a thick slab of stale bread called a trencher with the person beside you. You eat with your hands, the same hands that milked the cow at dawn, that cleared dung from the stable floor, that scratched at lice buried in your scalp. You tear meat from a shared dish. Grease runs down your wrist. Flies land on the food between bites. No one reacts. This is not carelessness. This is normal. What you cannot see is already inside you. Almost every peasant in medieval England carries intestinal parasites. Roundworms, tapeworms, whipworms. They live coiled inside the gut, feeding silently on the nutrients you've worked all day to earn. A distended belly is not always hunger. It is infestation. Chronic exhaustion is not weakness. It is the body fighting a war on 2 fronts, laboring in the fields while something else consumes from within. Children are especially vulnerable. Many never grow to full height. Many die before they understand what is killing them. And yet the connection between dirty hands, contaminated food, and parasites is never made. The framework doesn't allow it. Disease comes from bad air, from God's displeasure, from an imbalance of humors inside the blood, not from the mud under your fingernails. When sickness comes, and it always comes, the remedies are brutal. A village healer might press a poultice of garlic and honey against a wound. She might boil willow bark into a bitter tea to fight fever. These treatments, by accident or intuition, sometimes work. Garlic has antimicrobial properties. Willow bark contains the precursor to aspirin. But the healer doesn't know why they work. She knows only that her mother used them, and her mother before her. And when the remedies fail, the barber surgeon arrives. He doesn't heal, he removes. Rotten teeth are wrenched free with iron pliers. Infected limbs are held down and cut. Bloodletting is performed with leeches or blades, draining what physicians call corrupted blood. The patient screams. There is no anesthesia. There is only speed and the hope that the body endures what the treatment demands. Through all of this, the medieval peasant does not surrender. That is the detail history forgets. These people are not passive victims of their own era. They fight back with every tool available. Vinegar is splashed on surfaces. Smoke is used to drive out insects. Herbs are hung in doorways, sewn into mattresses, scattered across floors. Garlic is eaten raw, not for flavor, but for protection. Alcohol, weak ale, and rough wine is consumed daily because everyone understands, without germ theory, without microscopes, that water alone cannot be trusted. They drink ale the way we drink filtered water, not for pleasure, but for survival. It would be easy to look at all of this and feel only horror. The urine rinses, the parasites, the teeth pulled without numbing, the bodies sealed in grime for weeks. It would be easy to call these people primitive, to measure them against modern plumbing and declare them failures. But that judgment misses everything that matters. Cleanliness is not a moral quality. It is a technology. It requires clean water delivered through pipes. It requires soap manufactured at scale. It requires fuel to heat that water, drains to carry it away, and medical knowledge to explain why any of it matters. Strip all of that away, every pipe, every drain, every textbook, and what remains is not ignorance. What remains is improvisation. And medieval peasants were relentless improvisers. They could not wash, so they scoured their teeth with salt and rinsed with what chemistry they had. They could not bathe, so they changed linen when they could and perfumed what they could not clean. They could not explain disease, so they built frameworks of belief that gave them rules to follow, wrong rules, incomplete rules, but rules that offered structure in the face of invisible threat. They treated wounds with wine because heat and alcohol felt pure. They avoided water because every epidemic seemed to confirm that exposure meant death. They were wrong about the mechanism, but not about the danger. Water in medieval England was genuinely contaminated. Avoiding it, for the wrong reasons, sometimes saved lives for the right ones. What medieval people lacked was not intelligence or effort. It was infrastructure. The Roman Empire had built aqueducts, public baths, and sewer systems across Europe centuries earlier. When that empire collapsed, so did the technology. The knowledge didn't disappear overnight. It crumbled slowly, like the pipes themselves, until entire generations grew up without any memory that clean water had once flowed freely through their cities. Medieval peasants weren't rejecting hygiene. They were living in the ruins of a civilization that had already solved problems they didn't know had once been solved. And still, they endured. They raised children in smoke-filled rooms. They worked fields while parasites drained their strength. They buried neighbors after plagues they could not explain and woke the next morning and kept going. They braided herbs into their hair. They swept their floors. They scrubbed their teeth with twigs until their gums bled and called it clean enough, because it was all they had. The medieval world does not ask for pity. It asks for something harder. It asks to be understood on its own terms. Not as a failure of hygiene, but as a testament to endurance. Every twig chewed into a brush, every handful of salt pressed against cracking teeth, every linen shirt changed in place of a bath was an act of care performed inside impossible constraints. These people were not dirty because they didn't know better. They were dirty because the world hadn't yet built the systems that would make cleanliness simple. And once you understand that, the distance between their world and ours doesn't feel like progress. It feels like luck.